Before we start, I want to admit that I do have an accent, and it's because I grew up in Mexico, precisely a place that you know as Juarez, a city famous for its burritos. However, I see the city differently. I call it Juarez, and to me, it's famous for its violence. Juarez is in the top 5 of the most dangerous cities in the world. And even though this violence affects everyone, it is clear the women are the main victims. In the last 30 years, 2,400 women have been killed and hundreds have disappeared. Even these numbers are questionable, as not all cases have been reported or they have been minimized. The cases range from little girls to young adults, and the victims are usually humiliated, tortured, raped, and dismembered. The first report of this type of crimes goes back to 1993. No one really knows when these atrocious crimes started happening. As I say, Juarez has a high level of violence. Homicides are common, so it took some time to acknowledge that women were targeted due to their gender. Finally, the term femicide started being used to classify such crimes. One of the main cases involved Iris Estrella, a little girl of just 7 years old. She was kidnapped in 2005. She was sexually abused for days until she was killed. Her body was hidden in a trash bin, which was found by chance, not by actively looking for it. Everyone who was a little girl at the time got scared. I even thought, that could have been me. It was unthinkable to play outside anymore. And I remember my dad telling these stories about him hanging out in his neighborhood, riding his bicycle, and just having fun outside. Other girls and I, we were kept in a bubble. Juarez violence restricted what we could do growing up. What others could enjoy, we couldn't. The more cases we saw, the more limited we were. And Iris was not the only one. Ruby Friday went missing in 2008. Her body was found burned and dismembered in a trash bin a year later. The authorities were incapable of figuring out her murderer. Ruby's mother, Maricela Escobedo, a regular citizen, she identified Ruby's boyfriend as the killer. But you will not believe what happened next. Even though he confessed the crime, he was acquitted by the judges. Lack of evidence is what they say, and he was released. You would think this broke Maricela, but she persisted until he was found guilty. However, he was not apprehended because he was in a different city and he was now connected to a cartel. He became untouchable. Maricela, she had to keep fighting. She organized protests throughout her life, demanding justice. Unfortunately, in one of these protests, she was killed in front of the governor's office, a very secure location, and she was shot right in front of the building. As you can see, our justice system is broken. Most murders will remain unsolved, victims will stay nameless, and parents will never know where their daughters are. There's no certainty you'll be brought home safely if you disappear. And it's scary, not being able to trust that your authorities will do their jobs. Who is going to protect you if not them? Because of a broken justice system, the fear of death or disappearing becomes part of your life. We are even trained from an early age on how to protect ourselves. because no one else will do it. And I wish I could say we undergo martial arts training and become warriors, but no, the reality is scarier. Many other girls and I were taught that if a stranger can successfully force us inside a vehicle, we must try to get out, no matter what. Even if we have to injure ourselves to break the window or jump while the car is in motion, we have to try. Otherwise, we should wish for a quick death. Another known victim is Esmeralda Castillo Rincon, a 14-year-old who disappeared in 2009. Her family has tried to find her since then, but the authorities refuse to look for her. Accept that she's dead, is what they say. It could be true, but it's not an excuse to stop searching. Her parents deserve to know what happened to her. They deserve to know who's responsible and make them pay for it. Esmeralda's father, Jose Luis Castillo, he has not stopped looking for her. And he's usually present in the protests organized during International Women's Day. In Mexico, it's not just a commemoration day. During this day, women go out to make their voices heard. They demand justice, they demand a dignified life, they demand that we stop being killed. It is also a day to remember all the women we have lost due to this excessive violence. Jose Luis Castillo, he's there, wearing a photo of Esmeralda saying, "Don't forget about me." And that's not all the stories to tell. There's so many more. Silvia, Ingrid, Jennifer, Joanna. I could spend hours here saying their names. So many of us who never came home. And we don't know what happened to most of them. Here I am speaking for all of those who lost their voice. Juarez is just one place out of many where women still suffer just because of their gender. It is so easy to put on a blindfold and pretend these things don't happen anymore. But I feel most women can relate at some level. How many of us have been catcalled on the street, touched without our consent, felt vulnerable and powerless? There are still occasions where we have to fight for basic rights, such as the right to live. No woman should have to go through that anymore. I'm done being afraid. It is horrible to live scared, and the only thing that you can do is keep going. You have to go to school, work, but you never know if you will be the next victim. I'm fortunate that I'm here now. In Juarez, I couldn't even wear a skirt outside where I'm feeling unsafe. It was always a risk to use public transportation alone. Even requesting a ride from an app could put me in danger. Every time I walked the street and someone was behind me, my heart will start beating fast because I didn't know they were following me. Yes, I am here now, but a lot of women must remain there. I have family and friends who I don't want them to become another statistic. I don't want another woman to become a number. I'm done being afraid. I'm not gonna stay silent when something's not right. And you can also break the silence. We have a voice and we're going to use it. And staying silent will be an insult to all those sisters, mothers, daughters, and friends we have lost. The world has been passive about gender violence. It is time to change it. There is this slogan used during our protests, ni una menos, which means we don't want to lose another girl. So I say to you, ni una menos, thank you.